Hey everyone, welcome to a Conversations episode of The J. Today is Friday, July 14th, 2006, and in this episode, 181, J-Ent's Wynne interviews her good friend Shoko Ono. And a lot of you may be familiar with Shoko's work. She is a translator for a large variety of anime and also video games. She has done translations for all-purpose Cultural Cat Girl, Nuku Nuku, Azamango Daioh, Chrono Crusade, His and Her Circumstances, Cromartie High School, Excel Saga, Galaxy Falling Yuna, Gantz, Get Backers, Gravion's Way, Maburaho, Magical Shopping Arcade, Abanobashi, Metropolis, Noir, Princess 9, Sakura Wars, wow, New Fist of the North Star, Roxophone, Sailor Moon, Sayuki, Soul Hunter, Steel Angel Kurumi, The Princess Blade, You're Under Arrest the movie, Xenosaga Episode 1, the video game, and many, many, many more. This is definitely going to be a very exciting interview. We get to learn more about Shoko and also, how, I guess you could say, people who are interested in getting into the industry, anime industry, or the video game industry as a translator. Definitely you want to listen to this. So, let's go ahead and listen to this conversation episode with Wynne and her good friend, Shoko Ono.
I'm J-Ent's reporter, Wynne, and here I am with Shoko Ono from... Where are you from, anyway?
Where am I from? Well, good question, because usually I would say Illinois, because that's where I grew up. But, when you're on vacation, most people expect you to be from, foreign countries, because my family will be speaking Japanese. Mm-hmm. So we're from Illinois, but we're from Japan originally.
So you're born in Japan. You're born in Japan, but you've lived in the States for a long time. Yeah,
yeah. I came to the U.S. before I was born.
Okay, so tell me what you do, as a professional.
Right. I'm a freelance translator. I translate from Japanese to English. I've worked on anime mostly, but I've also done video games and an art book thing. And subtitle time and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have known each other for about, 10 years?
Yep, 10 years.
Yeah, since college. So you guys know how old we are. But
I skipped some years. You can't tell exactly.
Oh, yeah, you're the smart one that skipped some years. Huh?
No, I just got lucky.
And in the room, we also have
hide in the bathroom.
Yeah, he is hiding. We're in the hotel room here, so he's hiding. But we also have Feng Sheng. He is also an anime person, but he's not introducing himself. Oh well. He mostly tell us who he is.
Okay. He was the president of the anime club at our university, and he is also my fiance. He does some subtitling too, signing stuff, and he's been a big anime fan.
So you guys are the industry people.
What do you mean the industry
you guys are. I should say you guys are part of the industry.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know. So here we are, the night before Anime Expo. So obviously, Shoko and Fong are here to attend the Anime Expo event. Just as an attendee, I assume.
Yeah, we don't have we're not doing any panels or anything like that. No, we're just here to meet people and socialize, and look at the dealer's room.
So I'm glad that you decided to take the chance to talk to us over the podcast, and thank you very much. Well, we're just barely started. So okay, tell us if I were to ask you which shows you have done, which ones are the ones that you're most proud of? Tell me.
Well, I have to mention Excel Saga, because that was insane, and
because
the last episode.
Because the characters are...
Well, they talk really fast, they talk a lot. That's one of the chattiest shows I've ever seen, and they talk a lot of nonsense. And there's a lot of in-jokes. Yeah, there was a lot of research that went into that one. And then the last episode was, unairable because it was, had vulgar content, sort of. It was rated by itself, the rest of the series is I don't know, 13, 14, 15 plus or something, and that last episode is 18 plus. You can't watch it. yeah, that's one of the big shows. I'm part of His and Her Circumstances. That's one of my
also known
favorite
as
shows.
Karekano.
Yeah, Karekano.
Mhm.
And that's like one of my favorite shows. Top.
They're also talking really fast in that show, isn't it? Like
yeah, there's a lot of dialogue in that, and there's also a lot of text, like screen text.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and timing all that. Oh.
So when you do translation, you not only just do the translation, you have to do the timing. You know,
it depends.
Putting the text on the
some
screen.
Some people want timing. Some people don't want timing, and they have other people do the timing.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on the job. So.
Because some people, like, you mean like some companies that you work for?
Some clients prefer it this way or the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But His and Her Circumstances, which is Right Stuff, I tend to time stuff for them as well.
I see.
What else? My longest series is Sayuki, which I did 50 episodes of it for ADV, and then I got to do the follow-up series for Genion, and that was another like 50 episodes plus a movie. So that's like 100 episodes plus a movie of one series.
All Shoko.
Yes, all me, and like there's nobody else who ever touched Sayuki.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you sick of it?
I actually just finished it up.
do you enjoy doing the show a lot?
I like the characters a lot. I really do.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite?
Is it Goku?
No way.
Not Goku?
No, I think I like Sanzo.
Sanzo?
Yeah, I like Sanzo.
Because he likes to say, "I'll kill you."
Because he whacks Goku. Because he's so annoying.
I think Sanzo is cool because he has the fan.
Yes. He gets to whack Goku all the time for being stupid, for being hungry. But yeah, I like the interaction of the characters. Sometimes the fight scenes, just like, you know, why you? I'll kill you, bastard. These like rehash of those kinds of phrases. It gets a little old, but you know, they're great characters. The character show.
What about you mentioned the games, video games translation. How's that like? Is that any different than doing any anime stuff?
Yeah, because I don't get video or audio. It's all text. So I have to like interpret that based on just what the text.
You mean you get the script?
Yeah, it's script. It's just a script. So there's no audio to give me cues on, you know, how was it delivered, how is it meant to be delivered, and plus because it's like programmed into the game, sometimes pieces of it aren't in order. So
depending on how you progress in the game and you come across a certain piece of dialogue, right?
Right, and like I don't know how it works out in the industry, but you know, maybe they like add a scene here or add a scene there, and then you get that piece
out of context.
Yeah, out of context. So it's a little bit different because in anime it's just, you know, episode 1 through whatever in order, and you know what's coming next, and you know how everything ends. But yeah, in video games, it's just text, and you have to kind of imagine what's going on. And sometimes you don't even get the whole game; it's like broken up, so then you don't even have the whole story.
That must be hard, because like you said, well, in the anime ones. In anime shows, you also get the script as well, right? You get the script and the audio.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although the script's not complete, because there's ad-libbing a lot of times.
Yeah.
So especially like, you know, the Goku and Gojo fights, or like it always degenerates into ad-libbing in the background, and sometimes you can hear them saying crazy things. Sometimes you can't hear what the heck they're saying at all.
And sometimes like they talk at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And then
usually those fights fade into the background while Hakai and Sanzo are saying something else. So, and Hakai and Sanzo will be scripted, but Goku and Gojo will be ad-libbed.
And you translate all of them?
As much as I can hear. Some of it's just, you know, it's shared background. It's so faint. There's no way to pick it out. So.
Are you expected to pick them up? Do you think the
no.
expecting it? Like people watching the show, do you think?
I think at a certain point there's just too many subtitles on the screen, so sometimes it's better not to just cut it out. Because you know they're fighting, you know what they're fighting about, because it's usually food anyway. And beyond that, you know, the details aren't that important, you know. unless they say something particularly strange, it's not that big a deal. So, and the dub people, they just kind of ad-lib their own thing, I think. So.
Did you work with American voice actors before?
I know some, but I don't actually do much with them. I've talked to them.
How do they use? Do they use your translation to do their dub?
No. They have an ADR writer who takes a script and then adapts it into something that actually fits the mouth flaps, flows within the mouth flaps and the scenes and everything, and so it gets adapted by them, and then the voice actors get it. So because there's that step in between, they don't actually see my raw work. So they know me by reputation or by what the directors or the writers say about me, but that's about it. So I've been there when they're recording some stuff, because sometimes they'll ask me, how to interpret a certain line or something like that. But beyond that, I haven't really worked with voice actors. That's directors.
But you did some voice acting.
No, not really.
I saw your name on IMDb.
Yeah.
Under voice act. What is it? Voice or
Villager.
something? Yeah.
No, that was like wah kind of crowd noise. And they dragged me in once, and they never dragged me back in there again. That's how bad it was. No, acting is not in me.
No,
it was just like villagers running away from monsters or something.
Oh, okay.
Nondescript stuff.
Well, but your name is there, so
yeah, I know.
That's why I brought it up.
I was mortifying.
So can you tell us what you're currently working on, or not really? Is that
yeah, no. Like most times, I can't say exactly what I'm working on. And then by the time it comes out, I can talk about it. I totally forget about it.
Okay.
Because I'm on new stuff, but I'm working on Cross. That's an ongoing project right now that came out like a month ago or something like that, the first volume. And there's still more coming. And then Chrome Hound is a video game that is coming out in like a week.
What is it called?
Chrome Hound. It's an Xbox 360 game. It's like a MechWarrior.
I play the Xbox 360. I gotta find that game.
It's a MechWarrior kind of game. It's you drive mechs, and it's really highly customizable mechs. You can put pieces together. You design your own mechs basically.
So does that mean there are a lot of like mech related technical language in there?
Yeah, I did a lot of like the weapons descriptions and things like that about how this is good for long range or short range, or or this is good for this terrain, or not suited for certain types of combat or things like that. So yeah, I did a lot of that. But the bulk of it was like dialogue between the characters, because there's a story element. It's mostly an online game, but there's still the story element that you can play on your own offline. The dialogue for the story part of it was the bulk of what I worked on.
When you translate a show or a game or something, do you have to translate like the opening and the ending songs too?
For the shows? Yeah,
the shows?
I do the songs.
Do you like doing the songs?
Actually, yeah. They take a little bit more time because
we know each other for so long. We know that translating songs is all up to your interpretation of the lyrics and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's more. Well, you get more freedom to express it, in a beautiful way, I guess, the lyrics. But that's totally. I would think that that's totally different than how you do it in an anime, because for anime you have to be accurate, versus for lyrics you can be a little bit more creative.
But I think the same philosophy applies in that the way I look at it, a translation should give the audience the same experience in English that they had in Japanese. So in that sense of, I guess, being accurate or faithful, I think the same principles apply. It's just that because the song is not, grammatically correct, it has different, requirements for the end result as well, because the end requirement doesn't have to be grammatically correct either. But, in some ways it is the same. Just the interpretation part is, it leaves it a little bit more open. And leaves it a little bit more frustrating because you don't always know what the singer was trying to get at with a particular line or you know, you either have to assume that it was nonsense or try to figure out some way to parse it that it works. But I like that puzzling out part.
You like solving puzzles?
Yeah. I do.
Because you're an engineer. You know, because we're from college. We know each other. You have a
computer engineering degree. Yeah.
And then you gave it up?
Yeah. I mean, it was, you know, anime translating was a hobby, and I really liked doing it. I mean, I always enjoyed languages. I took Russian in high school, and I took Chinese in college, and I've always done well on those classes. And
do you have a thing for working with languages?
Maybe. I haven't gotten far enough in a lot of language studies. Like Chinese, I didn't get to because it conflicted with my engineering classes, and I didn't get very far on that and stuff like that. I wish I could have.
When did you decide you don't want to do engineering anymore and like focus on working on anime translation?
It wasn't that kind of decision because when I was looking for a job as I was graduating, basically the idea was, well, wouldn't it be cool if I could work as an anime translator? So I just sent out resumes with really no expectations. You know, it was just kind of
anyone would get back to you.
Yeah, you know, I mean, most people who are familiar with the industry know that, you know, most of the time you need to know somebody on the inside to get in. It's a lot easier that way. And breaking in fresh, nobody is a little bit harder. So, you know, there was no expectation, and I was continuing to search for engineering jobs. But then I heard back from some people, and it's like, oh, maybe it'll work, something else I can do. And yeah, so that's why I ditched.
And then you've been working since what, as an animator? I mean, as an anime translator for as a professional since 1999. How long have you been?
No,
doing
it's
this?
like 5.5 years. 5.5 or so. Yeah, 5 to 6 years, basically.
Would you like to continue doing this for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, the rest of my life is a long way. So who knows? I may change my mind someday. But right now, I still like it a lot. It's, you know, I still come across challenging things to do. And
what makes you, you know, a satisfying translation, so to speak? What makes a satisfying translation for you?
You mean the work?
Yeah, like
about it? It's, like the puzzle solving. It's the same thing. It's just in a different format, you know. So it's I've said this before, but like, you know, when I get to like really sticky points, and if I find a really good solution for that, then that, you know, really makes it fun. It's like, you know, you look forward to that moment when you have that breakthrough to solve that difficulties or something like that. But yeah, that's what I mainly live for, I guess.
Well, you come across something that you're not familiar with, which I assume it's going to happen. It happens all the time.
It does happen.
So, like, what do you do? Like, do you research on the internet, or?
Yeah. The internet is my friend. Particularly Google is my best friend. Google Japan. Dictionaries. But you know, I'll ask my friends and family members if there's some specialty that they might know about, because you know, like my dad's a physicist, so if it's like scientific stuff, I might ask him about it and check with him to see if something makes sense, or he might be like, that's gibberish. And then, you know, like I've asked you Chinese questions before, because in like Sayuki and stuff, there's bits of Chinese here and there. There's actually a lot of anime that has bits of Chinese here and there. And you know, my sister had took French, and I asked her about French, and so yeah, anywhere I can get information.
Are there any instances where you can't really figure it out, like as in nobody knows, and then what are you gonna do? What do you do about it?
Nobody knows
the answer to whatever you're looking for. Then what will you do?
Has
it happened before?
there are like jokes that nobody really knows where it came from, or it's so obscure that you know, we're not sure. Or there was a line in Noir that was supposedly a quote of, I think, Hemingway, one of the famous writers, and it was supposedly quoted off him from an interview he did. It's not even part of his writings, and it was a quote. But even the creators couldn't tell us exactly where they grabbed that quote from, and we never actually ultimately found the original quote. So it's a translation of what they said in Japanese, but it's not actually the true quote, whatever that may have been, you know. So sometimes you have to kind of make do and just take the Japanese at face value and work it out, and you know, leave notes sometimes, translation notes, and say that, you know, well, we try.
Speaking of translation notes, you know, what kind of things do you normally put in your notes that you like? How do you determine whether something needs to be put on notes versus, you know, on the subtitles itself?
Well, everything that can be possibly translated, you know, should get translated. But if the translation, for instance, is a little bit looser, is more interpretive, because it needs to be, then I might leave a note explaining why there's this departure from the original Japanese and why it needs to be that way, and what the original Japanese said and how that relates to the ultimate translation. Then that's mostly for like jokes and things, because if a joke isn't funny in the translation, then there's no point. Because if you're supposed to be watching a funny show and you're not laughing, then you know, and you have to look at liner notes to find out why it's so funny. It's not so funny anymore.
So in that case, you will actually try to come up with a closed English joke,
right?
That would make the readers laugh,
right?
And then explain it
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense,
right? And then there's always like cultural notes, where it's like, you know, just anything historical or culturally related that people might not understand. Always merits a note.
Do you have to keep up with the slangs or the?
Well, keeping up with slang is a dream. It'll never happen. Slang just keeps growing by itself, evolving by itself, somewhere, anywhere, everywhere. And there's just so many niche groups that, you know, have their own lingo or their, you know, terminology that if you come across it, you just have to go look it up, because if you try to keep track of all that, it just, I wouldn't have time to translate.
Sometimes, you know, some of the characters in anime, they have different accents and stuff. I guess that's to indicate how, you know, their background, I guess, you know,
is different.
Yeah. How do you distinguish it in English? Because
it's hard, because English accents are a little bit different, and matching it up is, I mean, it's such different cultural backgrounds, you know, that it's really hard. But I guess the most common one is the Osaka or Kansai accent, which I tend to equate to Southern accent, where the harsher Southern accent will be the Osaka area, and the Kyoto will be more like the Southern belle, elegant, drawl kind of thing. And I think that comparison works most of the time, especially if the people are actually from Kansai and Osaka. If they have an accent just because, then it might not work so well. But you know, the translation will drop G, like going will be going, and you know, y'all, which is a Texas.
I mean, you will do something to try to make it distinctive enough so that people know. You know,
it can be hard when sometimes there's like a throwaway character with like 3 lines. There's like nothing I can modify to make it sound like that. But yeah, usually we try to change it some way, and then I'll leave a note explaining why they're different, how they're different, and suggestions for the sub, which we've done Southern Drawls for a lot of those in the past. Most notably, Abenabashi.
I've read from, you know, some forums and stuff, and one of the persons that I saw, you know, they commented that they like it when the translators are trying to distinguish the accents from, you know, in writing, you know, versus everybody just speaking it the same way. Like it will lose the like I guess the style the person is speaking, the character. Of the
right,
character.
it makes the character more unique.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think fans appreciate it that way. So I just kind of want to tell you that.
Yeah, Southern doesn't come naturally to me because obviously I didn't grow up with that. And but during the Benobashi, it started to grow on me, and I started to find myself typing that accent in my email. I was like, delete. And I'm like, oh, this is dangerous. I'm like losing myself. Because that series was entirely Osaka. Mm-hmm. So all the main characters speak the Osaka accent. Mm-hmm. So everybody's accented. So that was all I was typing for days. And then it started to become a habit, just typing.
Couldn't get out of it.
Yeah. I was like reading over my email. I was like, wait, that apostrophe shouldn't be there.
That's interesting. Anyway, I'm Wynne. I'm over here with Shoko Ono, who is a noted anime and video game translator. I'm going through this list of shows that you have done. Ghost in the Shell, art book. Yeah, art book. Sayuki that you've mentioned for a little while, for a little bit. Comic Party. What else? Seal, Angel Kurumi.
Yep, Kurumi.
Super Milk-chan and Azumanga Daioh, etc. That's a whole lot of, different shows here. How many episodes do you think you have actually worked on so far in your career? In your, 6 years career? 6 years
About
career?
6 years, I think. I've worked on, in some way, shape, or form, about 1,200 episodes.
1,200 episodes? Yeah. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So of all these shows that you worked on, can you tell me, which ones are your favorite ones?
Well, I mentioned His and Hers before. That's something I loved since college, maybe even before. I don't exactly remember when it came out, but and also Razaphone is another show that I did. It's a mecha show, and
a total of 26 episodes, movie, 120 minutes, and 50-page booklet.
Oh yeah, there's a 50-page booklet.
For the DVD?
Yeah, for the movie, I think it was like a limited edition or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a hefty booklet.
You translate all the liner notes and
it had like interviews in it, and what else was it? There's like a summary of the movie, and it had just a whole bunch of stuff in it. But yeah, the movie is like a parallel thing for the series. And my latest favorite that I worked on is Princess Tutu, which is sounds fluffy, but is a dark kind of fairy tale-ish story.
No spoilers.
No, I don't. Well, it has that grim fairy tale feel. It's got that. Not everything is gonna be happy necessarily kind of feel to it, and it's got a good plot, good ending.
Do you prefer working on, drama stories or fighting stories or mech stories, plot lines, character development?
I like variety. If you just get stuck on one kind of thing, then it gets a little old. And I like the variety of different pacing of stories and action and comedy and they all come with, different challenges, different kinds of dialogue, and mech has all those technical terms that you have to make work and explain, and comedy has
a lot of dialogue going on at the same time.
Yeah,
overlapping each other. Why does that sound so familiar? So, but what about the theoretic release. Theatrical release, I'm sorry. Theatrical release, yes. Because here you have Metropolis. Yeah. Is that any different than, working on just a regular anime series?
Well, that's, I think, the only one I worked on that actually went out to the theater. So, that, just technically speaking, it was split up into different reels, which is basically like 15-minute segments or something like that, instead of one big movie. But other than that, it's still the same kind of translated time it out.
It's shorter. It's not like 26 episodes.
Well, yeah. But then you also have the added pressure that, it's going to be in the theaters.
So we're running out of time here. So I want to ask Shoko one last question. If you were to give advice or suggestions to anyone who might want to become a professional anime video game translator, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, understanding the language well enough to do it is pretty challenging. I was lucky enough to be born into a bilingual situation. I grew up in America, English in school and things, and we spoke Japanese at home. But if you're going to study it, one or the other, then it takes a lot to have a good enough grasp of the language to be able to translate. And that takes, years of studying, going abroad, living abroad, immersing yourself in the language and culture, and really having a good grasp of the nuts and bolts of the language, not just being able to survive in the language, but to understand, the grammar and the structure underneath all the language. And, some people are really lucky, they're blessed, they're talented, they can do it in a lot shorter time period. But most people, it requires a lot of dedication in order to become fluent enough to translate. So that's kind of a difficult obstacle in and of itself. And then you're really not guaranteed a job in the industry once you're out of it, because if you're an engineer, you're probably going to be able to find an engineering job. But if you're going to want to be specifically a Japanese anime translator, that's a really niche kind of industry. If you want to just translate Japanese, there's other jobs translating other material. But if you want to do anime games, there's a couple handfuls of people making a living doing that. And if you want to become one of them, then somebody or you get really lucky. But landing a job is hard, so I would say have a backup plan, because it's like I want to be an actor. It's kind of like you might make it big, but you might not, and there's just no way to know. So if you really love it, you can go for it, but
there's a lot of dedication.
There's a lot of dedication, and not necessarily certain payoff. So that's kind of hard. Mm-hmm. And even once you do land a job, you're not gonna be a millionaire doing it. So you really gotta love it, and you really gotta want it, I guess.
All right, thank you very much, Shoko, for getting interviewed by us.
And that was the interview with anime and video game translator Shoko Ono. A big thank you to Shoko for granting us the interview with her, and also Wynne for doing a great job with the interview. So we do have an episode coming out this weekend. This one is the conclusion to the Hyde coverage, the Hyde concert coverage that was done on the July 4th weekend, and I believe several days after that, from the Bay Area and also Southern California. So this is going to be the conclusion, part 2, and we will release that tomorrow. As for the article, the Hyde article, the interview, and coverage, we should have more information on that very soon, within the next week or so, on Ent. As for Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, Gilbert said he will try to do a podcast. I'm not sure if he's going to do it at Comic-Con, because you probably listened to the past few episodes ago, the rebroadcast or repodcast of, getting to know that he's really hardcore when it comes to SDCC and getting his stuff signed and all that. So he may not be podcasting from San Diego Comic-Con, but probably him and the guys will get together and do a podcast afterwards. So, definitely looking forward to that. But anyway, we have a new episode again tomorrow coming out. This is the conclusion to the Hyde coverage for Ent, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.